decrying the casualties of war and the immense suffering and death that war causes, while advocating for more hate, demonizing, dehumanizing violence and war, demonstrates a callousness that goes far beyond the insincerity. Millions of people are greatly harmed and dying in the many wars raging across the planet. There is hardly an outcry anywhere. The concern for human life has more to do about who can be blamed than real compassion, It is for this reason Israel is singled out as the only country at war to demonize and blame in a world full of wars. If Israel and Jews cannot be demonized and blamed, few care about human life. This is why there is silence for the millions of people in the Sudan harmed by the war, mass rapes, starvation, and genocide occurring there. This is why there is silence for the children and other civilians of the wars and violence in the Central African Republic, the DRC, Myanmar, Yemen, North Nigeria, Mali, Somalia, Libya, Yemen, Haiti, Mozambique, and in many other places. Millions of Arab Muslims and other Muslims have been slaughtered, displaced, and greatly harmed by other Arab Muslims or other Muslims in the wars in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Nigeria, Libya, Mozambique, DRC, Sudan, Central African Republic, and elsewhere without a concern raised. There were no Jews to blame. Millions of blacks have slaughtered other blacks in the wars and violence in the Congo region, Haiti, North Nigeria, Mali, Mozambique, Somalia, and in many other places. All of this killing and misery, and hardly a voice raised over the deafening silence and indifference. If Jews or Israel cannot be blamed, there is indifference and lack of concern for human life, despite the incredible suffering from war and extreme poverty that hundreds of millions of people endure. When it comes to Palestinian Arabs, countless people profess concern and outrage for the Palestinian Arab victims of war, yet advocate and scream for more hate, terror, war, demonizing, dehumanizing, and violence. They want war, the very terrible evil that causes great suffering, death, and misery in the first place. It is like Hitler's supporters decrying German casualties of war while aggressively supporting Hitler's pursuit of war, murder, terror, genocide, and the mass extermination now called the Holocaust. No person truly concerned about casualties of war is an advocate for more war. No person truly concerned about casualties of war justifies, defends, and supports murder and terror. No person truly concerned about casualties of war supports those that murder civilians, despite the perverse and demonic efforts to label murder as resistance. No person truly concerned about casualties of war finds it acceptable when terrorists use civilians as human shields to hide behind and beneath, or that fail to acknowledge this as a major cause of casualties of war in Gaza by Hamas and Islamic Jihad, by those that only seek to demonize Israel. Hamas spent billions of dollars to build terror tunnels beneath ground to protect themselves and to enrich their fat cat leaders living in Qatar, Turkey, and elsewhere, while not spending a single penny to build bomb shelters above ground to protect Gazan civilians. No person concerned about human life condones murder and the deliberate and intentional harming of civilians and defenseless people. Murdering and deliberately and intentionally committing other atrocities against civilians, which is what terrorists and terrorist organizations do, is different than casualties of war, that despite the best effort of propagandists to conflate the two. The anti-Israel crowd that wants Israel destroyed knows full well this means endless war and the killing of countless Jews, Arabs, and others on that small piece of land. No matter how they dress up their justifications for war against Israel, it is nothing more than a call for genocide. Just as Hitler called Jews undesirables and worse, that need to be exterminated, the anti-Israel crowd does the same in their dehumanization and demonizing of Israelis and Israel. Human beings live there. Millions of Jews, Arabs, and others, and all are greatly harmed by war. The many cheerleaders for more hate, violence, war, and terror could care less about the lives of Palestinian Arabs, no matter their crocodile tears. They only care about the lives of Palestinian Arabs if it is an opportunity to demonize Israel and Jews. It is for this reason that when Arabs or others are slaughtered by the millions and greatly harmed in many ways in other wars and conflicts, they say nothing. They want Israel destroyed, no matter how many more lives Jews, Arabs, and others are lost in the process. Jews and Arabs and other ethnic religious groups are married to one another on a small piece of land, whether they like it or not. Figuring out a way for the people of this troubled land to live with one another without more war, violence, and terror must be the voices to heed, not the bloodthirsty voices calling for more hate, demonizing, dehumanizing, terror, violence, and war.